Ladies, let's do our brows. So you're having a hard time getting those hair-like strokes that you see me doing on myself or my clients, and I'm gonna give you a step-by-step guide on the techniques that I use that you may not really notice in the videos whenever I'm doing them. All it takes is a tiny bit of intentional practice. These products, my pencils and all the other pencils out there, if you want the hair-like strokes, you've got to stop treating it like a lip gloss product. You've got to stop doing this. You're not going to get the hair-like strokes when you're quickly just wham bam and unintentionally doing it. In the beginning, it's going to take intentional thinking. That's step number one. Step number two, if you have oily skin or you have your barriers, your sunscreen, your makeup, use the micellar water. This will allow the products to go on. If you have an oil barrier in your serums and your sunscreens, these pencils aren't gonna go on. It's like putting this on over oil. It's not gonna work. If you have oily skin and you're noticing that your products aren't lasting as long, also use this. That's also why I did create a harder formula. This lasts all day on me and I have oily skin. I don't always use the micellar water, but if you have extra oily skin, practice that, but then also switch to a harder formulation pencil and it will last. Two, I don't care, besides the soft formulations, I also don't want a waterproof formulation. I do avoid personally waterproof mascara and brow products. It can be damaging to the hair. So if you have a product out there that you like that's waterproof, just be really careful with how you remove it and make sure that it's not damaging your brow hairs and also your lashes. It's a harder formulation and it is going to last all day, and it's also smudge proof because it really does get on there because it's nice and hard. Okay, step number two, tighten your skin. If your skin is just, a little bit looser and you're going at it, you're not gonna be able to get a nice length hair-like stroke. Step two, where do your brows start? This ridge and your tear duct, halfway in between. You can set your pencil and just make a little mark right there. And then also, how low do you start? That's another mistake I see, is people are just going halfway up and making little strokies. I don't really want to see that, just kind of use that as a guideline. Then I'm gonna come in, I'm holding it halfway down. I'm not holding it like this. That's just preference. You can play around with this. I sometimes come in straight on. I sometimes come in from the side. Play around with that as well. So I'm gonna come straight on. I like to come more straight on my right and then to the side on my left, but again, play around with that. So coming in and I'm holding it, quick, spaced, long, hair-like strokes. I am doing a good amount of pressure. That's also why I like the hard formulas. With a soft formula, I am more heavy-handed, and I find that most of my clients are too. So if you just use a little bit more pressure with the hard ones, but with the soft ones, you have to be really light, and I just find that they're too delicate to control, and I can't get the hair-like stroke that I want. If it's too harsh, don't blend it. I'll have my clients that they'll say I can't get the hair-like strokes, and I'll say show me, and they'll do beautiful hair-like strokes, and then they'll just flip it around really quickly and blend it out. If you notice that it's too harsh, tap. Do not brush blend it. That will make those hair strokes too fuzzy and almost erase it. If you go too high, erase it. Be very spaced, more spaced than you think. Okay, so practice literally here first and go more spaced. And then you can go back and be like, oh, I need a little stroke right in there. I need a little stroke right there. It's intentional. And that's also okay when your hair-like strokes aren't perfectly starting right there. Your hairs don't perfectly start in a line. So that's okay that some start just a tiny bit lower, a little bit higher. It's totally fine. It's all helping it to look more natural. And then you'll be able to get your timing, right? Then you can start moving a little bit quicker. But in the beginning, go slow with where you set it, and then quick with applying it. Slow where you set it, quick where you apply it. And then you can go back and be intentional and precise, adding a little stroke right in there if you need. Where do you need it on the other side? I only need one, maybe two strokes on my left and maybe right in there. See? So that's the thing, is I was a little bit too quick and I went right over the same stroke, making that darker. That's okay too. I'll show you how to correct it, but I wanted it right there. Just tap that out. Done. Doesn't look too dark. I also don't need to line this out. I personally don't ever like seeing a line, but my brows make that line naturally. So don't line your brows if you already have that line. And then if you have little gaps, treat them like they're really tiny in the beginning and just do one stroke and then take it back. Say, oh, okay, that was good. I actually don't need more. Biggest mistake I see is people going too fast unintentionally and adding way too much. Less is more always. And then little stroke right there, little stroke on my pimple, even though I'm in my 30s, and a little stroke right in there. It's very, very minimal. I'm using the pencil color in black too. My brow hairs individually on that level, they're black. They don't look crazy black like a Sharpie because no one's brows look like that, but they're also not really dense. I'm using a pencil in black, and whenever you're doing this, it will look like hair. Match your hair color with your pencils. If I were to do this, like I see a lot of people doing, they're doing their strokes really quick, and then they're doing this. Yeah, using a black one would be too intense. I want to see my skin in between my brow hairs and my makeup because that's what looks natural, and it's also not too intense when you focus exactly where you need. Also, lastly, make sure you're not scrolling up too high. If you can see it, that's too high. If you can barely see that, that's correct. This pencil in particular is a 1.4 oval shape tip. You don't have to sharpen it. That's why I made it an oval shape. It always gives you hair-like strokes and you don't need to sharpen it. But like all of them, including mine, if it's scrolled up even that much, it will snap and break. I like to apply a good amount of pressure, and so whenever it's scrolled up just enough, you'll get what you need. And you can literally press as hard as possible and it's not gonna break. But yeah, if it's scrolled up literally like that and you're pressing hard, it's gonna come off and break. So a tiny bit. It's going on, you don't need a lot. Now that you've got some better guidance, please practice this and go easy on yourself. It's not going to happen the first time you do it. You just need to practice those little tricks. Also, I did kind of take the summer off just with the 2 kids out of school, so I will get more into it with doing these little tricks for you. So please let me know what else you'd like to cover. I have a ton of comments saved in my favorites, so I can answer those questions, but keep them coming and I'll get better at being more consistent with these videos.